Hello, hello, hello. Uh, Welcome to the video. So in this video, I'm going to be building a two-story home, basically from scratch. And before I can start on another room, I have to complete whichever room I was working on. So as you can see, we're starting with the front area of the house, which is basically the entryway and small sitting area. And so the vision that I had for the entryway was that it would have a seating area on a platform, which is why I'm doing these two sections together, because basically it's one big open room. But for the other areas of the house, they're all pretty much closed off into separate rooms with walls. And so we'll be doing those definitely only one by one. So I really didn't have much of a plan when I started this. I just knew that I wanted the house to have that kind of old-fashioned look, but for the interior to be kind of modern, but without being modern, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of like a step into like the next century, a step into the next generation, but not like completely. So you'll find that there is what I would assume like existing flooring or existing wallpaper, or at least the style like of the house, but the furnishings and things like that, the placement of the furniture and things like that, I don't say accessories. Do you say accessories in the house? Not usually, right? The little things that are here and there, the knickknacks and things like that, those things will be a little bit more on the modernish kind of side. And there I just sort of closed off the second floor, not to say that that's going to be a room, but just because I needed to see what the bottom floor looked like without the sunlight coming in, so I could check the lighting. And unfortunately, that one corner, the furthest corner from the door, still is a bit dark, but I just didn't think it was natural to put any lights over there, just because it just didn't look like it. And because of the lighting in the game, even though there will eventually be lights that are closer to that area, it still doesn't look like it's well lit. That's one of the unfortunate things about the entryway that I wish I could do something about right now. But yeah, so this build is, as you can see, including some CC, but I think most of the exterior doesn't. So like at the very least, the shell, the windows, the doors and things like that are probably all like intact. There may be like a wallpaper or something that I use here or there that isn't base game or that isn't in vanilla Sims. So if you like this build, even if you don't have the CC, you'll still be able to at least download the house by itself and use it, or else, whichever items are actually, Sims items, those will also be there. So for this section, I was doing the little hallway and doing it in conjunction with that closet, but the hallways for me are not necessarily considered a room. Even though I didn't make a mention of it before. It was mostly because I was doing the closet there as well. So the closet is done and I won't go back to the closet. And that's another part of this, sort of the idea behind this build was that once I finished in a room, I wasn't supposed to go back. And I think I only went back maybe twice. So I kind of cheated. And if I remember to point that out, I'll point it out when the time comes. But in any case, this is basically the second major room that I'm doing, which is the first floor bathroom. And another thing that I wanted to do in the house was pull some kind of natural stone, like into the house, like into the rooms of the house. And so this is one of the rooms that is going to be using this kind of stone, kind of rock wall. Yeah, this is just me adding a little bit of extra whatever into the hallways. Like the hallways don't count as a room. So if I'm working in the hallway and then I go back into whichever room I'm working in, don't worry about that. That's not part of the of what I was trying to do here. When I'm working on a major room, then I should have to stay in that room. Yeah. But in any case, I think the bathroom is super nice. I just like it. I think I would love to take a shower in that bathroom. I think it looks like it smells good too. I don't know how to describe why. I think this is one of the oddest things I've ever thought about a build that I've made, but it just looks like it smells nice. Okay, anyway, so this little area here off to the side is the dining room. And you may have noticed also as I'm building that the orientation of the lot may have changed once or twice. And that's just simply because, as you're building one room by one room, you're not exactly sure how you want to sort of expand on the lot. And so I didn't limit myself in terms of moving the entire, I guess I should say the building, moving the building on the lot to see where I wanted it to be. So it was rotated once or twice. That's the reason why. That's not something that was like illegal in what I was trying to do. So yeah, so I think in this room, it's almost all CC if I'm not mistaken. At least the flooring and the wallpaper is basically CC. I know those. Oh, I think maybe it's the new pack or something similar. The style is kind of similar to the new kit. It's not a pack. It's a kit that everybody got for free suspiciously. Yeah, I think maybe or maybe not. Maybe it's CC. But in any case, it's definitely not. It's definitely not one of the older Sims packs or whatever. Yeah, I think almost everything in here is basically CC. So if you do download this, you'll have to have a completely new dining room. Yeah, and so sometimes, when you place certain items, they're fixed in certain locations, and so using the tool mod is really helpful to get those things to be exactly where you want them to be. And the dining room is one of my favorite rooms. I just think it looks awesome. I would love to have a meal in there. So as you can see, we've moved on to the kitchen, and I wanted to make the kitchen very large because I never make large kitchens. It's just a thing that I never do. My kitchens almost always look like afterthoughts, and they're always so small. They always have like 2 or 3 countertops and like no space to expand or no space to put any cute clutter. So, my kitchens are almost always just like really bare unless I use the open cabinets that came with Snowy Escape. And so these refrigerators are CC. And I also found a cool CC that lets you put like fridges like under your counters. I love the idea of that. I love making hotels in this game. And so if I can I didn't have that CC before, but now that I do, I can just imagine the possibilities of being able to have an under counter fridge without having to size the fridge down, which is what I've been doing, so far. And I like playing around with lighting in the game, but it never like turns out the way that I want. I think I did download some kind of script mod or something that would affect the way that the lighting turned out. But because it's a stone wall, I guess it's still kind of washed out. So it doesn't look as highlighty as I would hope. It doesn't look as spotlighty as I was hoping it would. Yeah, and so then here I'm just having a little bit of fun trying to find basically some clutter items. There was one time where I went back to put something in, but I felt like it wasn't cheating because it was just a light switch. It's a non-functional light switch. And I just remembered that I had it in the game. And I was like, wow, this would be really awesome to have on the wall. So I just went and put it on the wall without thinking twice about it. But actually, I'm not supposed to go back and change anything. And you may have also noticed that I was trying to put stuff in that small fridge, but nothing really goes in there very well. I think I'd have to use the tool mod to rotate it and move it, and it's just not necessary. So I just left it empty. But, in the perfect world, there'd be like some wine or something chilling in that little fridge. That would be nice. Okay, so the kitchen is almost done, but I'm going to make sure that I have a little space there for the living room, which I'll get to shortly. Just finishing up the flooring. I like dark floors. I don't think this floor fits the best, but again, it's part of the new kit, and I just wanted to kind of try it out. I'm pretty sure that's where that came from. And then once I put those lights in, it kind of warmed the floor up a little bit, so I liked it a lot better. Alright, so here we're moving on to the living room. And once again, we're thinking about pulling these kind of stone walls like into the house. And this is the area around the fireplace, which is one of the main reasons why it does have a stone wall. But you notice that there was a stone wall in the kitchen. And that's basically the idea behind that. I just love warming up a room like with that kind of feature wall, And I'm not a big fireplace user. I use fireplaces because I feel like it's like a prerequisite. Like if you make a Sims home, it must have a fireplace. But I never actually use them. My Sims will autonomously use them, but I don't ever use them. But when I'm just making a house just for the sake of making a house, like I don't plan to play with this house. I just like building in The Sims. It's just fun. I'll almost always use or include them. But if I'm making a house for one of my Sims that I'm just playing in the game, usually there's no fireplace. Okay. And so this room is also mostly CC. There is a really, really cute set, I guess you call it. And so, yeah, this shelf area has a lot of clutter, and it just took forever for me to look through all the menus to figure out what kind of clutter I wanted to use. So we kind of skipped ahead there. And we're going to skip ahead a little bit here in the bar section because it was the same thing. I was just looking for all these little bottles to put on the wall. So I won't really be showing that in detail, but you'll be able to see it when we kind of zoom out or, do other areas of the home. I'm sorry, when I do like the walkthrough or take pictures of the home. Okay, and taking forever to just decide on the same painting I was looking at before. I know that there is a way that you can get paintings in your game that is not like CC so much. It's like you just kind of download a room and the room is full of paintings. So you can just have like a bunch of paintings in your game without actually having to like download it. I think is how it works. But yeah, I'm not good at technology and stuff. So I don't know why it's easier to just download it and just have it in a folder on my computer. So I always know where it came from. I always know what it is. But yeah, so the living room isn't my favorite room in the house, but I think it turned out nice anyway. One of the reasons why I don't like it is because the sofa door is facing the back of the entrance from the kitchen. It's not the main entrance. Like I have a feeling that maybe in the past, whoever lived here kind of opened that space up a little bit. Like maybe there used to be a pantry or something there, but they were like, oh, we don't want a pantry here. We just want to make it one big living room, So then they decided to knock that wall out. But, the orientation of the couch and things like that, like facing that wall with the fireplace means that the back of the sofa is to the door. So, or I should say the entrance from the kitchen. So it's kind of strange, but whatever. So here we're on to the second floor, and I'm kind of going around in not a circle, but you know what I mean? Like I'm going around in 360 kind of way. So I'm starting in this one corner, and then I'll just go, I'll kind of work my way around a little bit. So for the master bath, I have a lot of bathroom CC, and a lot of the items mix and match very well. But I always feel like I never have enough CC because my whole thing when I make a build is doing the clutter. I want you to imagine you're a baker, right? And so you always make cakes. You're not 100% concerned with how the cake tastes or if the cake is functional. Like if it tastes good, you know what I mean? I'm not really concerned with if the room is functional. I just want it to look pretty. And so whenever I design something, I'm always just constantly thinking of what kind of clutter I can use. And so, yeah, I hate to say it, but whenever I build in The Sims, I'm building around the clutter. That makes no sense. I know it makes no sense, but I always have in the back of my mind, this clutter, this clutter, this clutter. So I'm always thinking that when I'm thinking about how to make the room. So sometimes my rooms turn out to be kind of a hot mess, but fun nonetheless. Okay, so here we're going to do the walk-in closet, and you'll notice at some point I move it from where it is because, how can I put this? The stairs, like when I'm trying to zoom in on the wall on the opposite side, the stairs mean that I kept popping up and down from the height of the stairs, and it was making it impossible for me to do anything in the room. That's the reason why it moved, but it's going to go exactly back where it was because, one of the objects of this kind of build is to not move the walls. Like once I draw the walls can't change. I can, fit the doors however I want. I can fit the windows however I want. I can do interior walls however I want. But once I draw the wall, then that's it. I can't, otherwise change the wall. Once I start actually putting furniture in. So it's like step by step by step, right? All right, so this is also just a bunch of clutter. This whole walk-in closet exists for the clutter. So I apologize if you don't like clutter. Maybe you could skip ahead a little bit, but that's basically all this is me just finding the perfect clutter. And so one of the problems when you're starting to put clutter into your build, the game will, if you try to paint a wall, the game will just be like, oh, sorry, we don't really recognize this clutter that's like stacked on this object or this clutter that's stacked on these other objects. So we're going to delete all those things when you paint this wall. I was trying to make this little convenience store and it, honest to God, wanted to delete almost everything that I had put on the shelves. And I'm like, are you serious? So I kept having to move the shelves in and out because I kept getting like, I like to make little changes here or there. So sometimes I don't like my wallpaper. I want to change my wallpaper or I want to draw a new wall and the game freaks out and just starts deleting all your items. And it's like, can you not? At least I'm on the same floor. Sometimes it deletes things on different floors. All right, so here we are onto the bedroom, and I had a whole idea in mind. I had to cut it out because not only was it taking too much time, it wasn't working out. Something really strange was happening in the corner where the bed is. I wanted to do a really interesting kind of feature where the bed was set into a platform, and like I don't know what you call these things, lamps are kind of like just on the platform. And in my mind, it looked so nice, but the game kept making the weirdest, bizarre shadows, and it kept popping things up and down. It just wasn't working out at all. So now it's just a traditional, like little bed. I'm not happy with the bedroom at all. I think the master bedroom is the weakest room in the house because it's so big. Because I had this idea in my mind of what it was going to look like. It was going to be fantastic, but it literally would not like work out. So it's just a traditional bed in the corner with two end tables because I was tired of trying to figure out what to do. And this is just like a little. It's not an office space. There is actually an office, and it looks much nicer than this, but. This was just the personal computer, basically. So a place where they can go and unwind and play solitaire or whatever, like my dad used to do after work. I think for him it would have been perfect if he could have had a computer in his bedroom. But we only had one family computer, and he would hog it all night. All right, so I had planned on continuing around, but then I realized I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted the front of the house to look like. So instead of continuing in the 360, I decided to kind of detour a little bit and make the guest room, because the guest room is basically hovering over the entrance. And so that's what's happening now. And the guest room is the funkiest room in the house. The guest room, I feel like, was an addition. And it was like the only room that, whichever occupant of the house felt like they had free reign over. And so it's pretty funky. Like it's pretty funky, but I love it. I love it. I would love to. I think it reminds me of a hotel room. And so again, I'm like obsessed with hotels right now. I cannot get over hotels right now. So, for me, making a room, like a guest room in a house, it's like I want people to feel like it's a home away from home kind of place. Like the same way that you would feel if you went to a hotel. So I don't necessarily want it to look like it's exactly matching with everything else in the house. I want it to feel like its own separate space. If I have a guest, like that guest should feel like, wow, like this is an escape. You know what I mean? And that was the idea behind this room. One of the problems with working with so much CC, or even with the regular items in the game, is it's almost impossible to find things that match. I'm not a big mix matchy person when it comes to like materials, or when it comes to like designs. With design styles, I definitely mix a lot. But I think that's just by virtue of the limitation of the type of items that you have in the game. But when it comes to trying to find like little end tables and trying to find these little things, I would prefer for them all to be the same like color wood. This was one of my weak points when I was in school, is always trying to make everything match and always trying to make things symmetrical. My teachers would just go crazy. Like, excuse me, it's not necessary to do that. Like, but I'm a very, how can I say, not to say by the book, but like I'm a very overly analytical, processy person. And so there's certain things that I just expect, right? And so if things are not within my realm of expectation, I'm not happy. So if I go into a room and all the colors are mismatched and stuff, it's gonna drive me crazy. I don't know. It's just my brain, right? But it's not about me. If you're making a room for a client, right? It's about them. But you can't take the artist out of the art. Okay. Anyway, so here we are on the second floor, and I'm just doing whatever with the hallway because the hallways don't count. So I'll be going kind of back and forth with the hallway anyway, figuring out what I want to do. Okay, so this little area here, also I did kind of do a little bit something I wasn't supposed to do, which was change the walls. But how can I put this? When I was first doing it, I kind of stopped there. So I wasn't really married to the idea of the wall being there. So I could have easily just deleted it before I quit, but I didn't. And then I forgot to just delete it before I started again. And I hadn't started putting any furniture in. So yeah, I still feel like it's still kind of within the kind of rules of the build. Just so long as I hadn't put any furniture in, it would be okay to move it. And any small room that's not a major room. So for example, this little laundry room area, like if I want to change something in there, nobody cares about that. Like that was my kind of feeling about that. But definitely I wanted to make a really nice bathroom It's regrettable that it's so far away from the guest room. But for me, this second floor kind of feels like when I was doing it, it started to feel kind of like a B&B. I started to kind of get this idea that, if I have a person who comes to stay, because apparently whoever lives here has no kids. Obviously, there are no kids that live in this house, right? So I imagine that it's one of those kind of homes that people who are not like my people, I'll just put it that way, have. It's like one of those extra homes, and it's like your friends just go stay at that house sometimes. Like, that's the feeling that I get about this house. Or else like an Airbnb. Like, the second floor is just kind of like an Airbnb. And so besides the, what do you call it, the master bedroom, which the doors can be locked, and the office, which I'll do last, also of which the doors can be locked, people would pretty much have free reign of the house. This is the feeling that I get for this kind of house. It doesn't feel like a house where people actually live. It feels like a house where people entertain. I love that little fox. I wanted to use that fox so bad, but I thought it didn't fit. Oh, that fox was so cute. Sometimes people will put these cute little pictures in the paintings, and it's like you don't notice it at first because they have like 50 different options, which I love. But I was like, wow, look at that fox. I really want that fox. Yeah, so anyway, here's the little workout room. Again, this was just like a little awkward room off to the side, and I thought, like if I do have guests who come over, what kind of things are they going to want to do? I didn't have this area be closed off for that very reason, right? So like if there are people who are just kind of roaming around on the second floor, it's like, oh, how can I pass the time? Well, I know, I'll just go work out, this kind of thing. It doesn't feel like a home to me. It feels like a rental. It's kind of like how it feels more than anything else. Or I guess the more I worked on it. And so finally we have the home office. And I'm using this, a lot of the same items from the same, what do you call this? Set, like CC set. Which I really like. I've had for quite a while. It's one of the first sets that I downloaded, and I always like it, but I don't use it. I think this is only the second time that I'm using it, even though I like it so much. But I thought it would be perfect because, like, I imagine that if there is a couple that lives here, they probably live and like work together. And so then if they are ever at this house, like their second house or third house or whatever, they probably do sort of, they're going to be there for a little while, and they want to make sure that they can get their work done. So that's the idea behind this room. And it was a little bit bigger than I expected. And that was another reason why I decided to make it like a double office, like where they're basically talking together or communicating with each other. I thought that was quite nice. And once again, I wanted to make sure that I'm keeping with the theme of of the stone wall. And I think it's so complementary, like, of this room. The colors seem to blend together like well enough. And again, I'm still trying to figure out what type of little items I can put in here. I think in the end, I went with whatever the last piece was, of this set. I just decided to just use that. Actually, I think that there's 3 different sets that I use primarily here, but they're all office sets. And so in any case, this little area here, I was looking very hard for something with coffee. I'm like, I know I have something with coffee. I know I have something with coffee. I know I have tea. Okay, anyway, here's the end of the build. And I didn't do the outside because, that's the least interesting part of the build, is, in my opinion. If you like the outside part, I'm sorry. I totally skipped it because it's time consuming, it's tedious, and it's boring. At least for me. Okay, so here we are doing the walkthrough. So this is what it looks like from the entrance. I love that seating area. I love this dining room. The first floor of any build I ever do is always my favorite part of the entire house. When I get to the second floor, it's like, ugh. Okay, anyway, the kitchen, which I also love, is the biggest kitchen like I've ever done, and it's so cute. I would love to cook in this kitchen. It's just so big, and I would love to entertain in this kitchen, It's an entertaining space. This is what it looks like from the corner, where the dark corner I was talking about before. And this is what it looks like going into the small hall. If you're in the hall, this is what it looks like looking towards the living room. And this is a peek into the bathroom. And then if you're standing in the bathroom, it's kind of hard, very awkward shaped room, but really cute. And this is if you're going into the living room from the hall, and the view from the kitchen door, or entrance. I keep calling it a door, it's just a frame. So if you go back to the stairs, this is what it looks like looking at the front, and then up the stairs. And we go up, and this is what it looks like at the top of the stairs. And we'll go into the master bedroom first. Not my favorite room. It just doesn't look good in the shots. I like the color scheme. That's about it. All right, and then the walk-in closet. I think I spared you all the details of all those boxes. I just love clutter. And then the master bathroom, which I think is so cool that there's like those French doors or whatever that lead into them so you can see through. Definitely a couple that lives here because otherwise you would have no privacy. Okay, so looking towards the office and the guest bath. And then this area is if you just go to the right, no, sorry, to the left. Here's the guest bath. Oh, sorry, I said guest bath before. I meant guest bathroom. And then here's the workout room. I think there are no shots of the washing machine. Anyway, this is the office, right? And then next to the office is the guest room. And this is what it looks like from the inside. It totally feels like a hotel room, and I love it. It's so funky. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you again in another video.